rockers went on for a long time. And now I'm deaf as well because it's so noisy. But
Paul Cooper's.
Pardon?
Was it Paul Cooper's?
No, it was the others. I don't know what I think.
Yes, there's been a falling out.
I think there has been something out. Because they told them, when they said, where do you come to Southgate, they said, we're not sure.
I'll fill you in sometime.
Oh, I see. Are we shouting?
Are we shouting for a bit? No. Don't worry.
You know what we're
You know what we're going to do?
In
In
preparation
preparation for the fact that
the beginning of January is a musical service.
we'll actually have a songbook in the Synagogue.
First Shabbat of the month. We're changing our Friday nights. On the first Shabbat of the month is going to be musical at 6 o'clock till 7. The second one is going to be an 8 o'clock one with discussion and dessert. So I'm looking for people to volunteer to bring a dessert with them for the hundreds of people who will be here. On Wednesday it's our cover our supper at 6, and on Thursday it'll be on the fourth one it'll be the standard 8 o'clock. So we're going to be a bit musical and jump from. Well, I'm not very musical, but I'll do the best that I can for you as we jump from service to service. So let's start at the beginning, yes. Who's lighting the candles? So you can choose whichever service you want to light the candles. Then we're going to do Psalm 95 on page 70.
Service 4?
Oh, right, you can start. You do whatever. Just give them the page number.
Fine.
I'm a liberal.
Page 84, service 4.
Thank you.
Please rise. Draw near, eternal God, as working day turns to Sabbath rest. You have been with us all the week, and yet we have often forgotten you. Now, kindling these lights, we say your name, remembering the love you have shown us, and in gratitude and thanks we turn to you to bathe our hungry souls in your kindness. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu hadritno shel Shabbat.
Amen.
May a new light shine upon Zion, and may we be worthy to see its splendour. On this day may we see the world in a new light. On this day let us be freed from desire for gain, from ambition for material things. On this day let us look beyond time and space towards eternity and know the blessing of peace.
Thank you. And now we're going to pick a psalm from every service. So we're going to start on page 70 with Psalm 95. Page 70, from service number 1. I know it's yet another radical departure. I keep trying to get you to throw me out, but you won't do it. Psalm 95, page 70. Lecho naranana l'Adonai, naria l'tzor, yishenu nakat mafana betoda, bizmirot naria lo, ki el gadol Adonai, umelech gadol al kol Elohim, asher b'yado mekre aretz, v'to'avod harim lo. Asher lo hayam v'hu asahu, yabeshet yadav yatsaru, bo'o nishtachave v'nivracha, nivracha lifnei Adonai oseinu, ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu amarito v'tzon yado hayom im b'kolo tishma'u. And now to page 76 from service 2. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitechem LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And from Psalm 97. The Eternal One reigns, let the earth rejoice. Clouds and darkness surround you. Your lightnings illumine the world. Mountains melt like wax before you, O God. The heavens proclaim your righteousness. Zion hears and is glad. For you are supreme over all the earth. Light dawns for the righteous. Let the righteous rejoice in you. I don't know it well enough to sing it. We could do the first verse of Ma Yedidot on page 85 from Psalm 84. Ma Yedidot on page 85, Psalm 84. Ma Yedidot mishknotecha Adonai Tzevaot נכסבה וגם קלטה נפשי לחצרות אדוני ליבי ובשרי ירננו אל חי גם ציפור מצאת בית ודרוקן לה אשר שתה אפרוחך את מזבחותיך אדוני צבאות מלכי ואלוהי. And on page 91, Lecha Dodi, which was just sung at the synagogue I've been to Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. I don't know whether I'm brave enough to do it. Shall we give it a try? How does it go? Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Lekrat Kala. We'll do it the normal way. Unless you keep it going, because I don't think I will. Right, Lecha Dodi. Which one? Lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Shahamor וזכור בדיבור אחד. השמיעאל המיוחד, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת הילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, שידברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. It was a little fast, but if I have to choose in a dirge and going fast, I'll go fast, but I take the point. The Baruch Hu, which is slightly slower. Baruch Hu et Adonai ha'mevorach. Baruch Adonai ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed. Now we've made a call to prayer at community. Let's be seated and we'll read together in English. We praise you, eternal one, our God. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We praise, O God, whose word makes evening fall. Ahavat, medium pace. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemareta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu uvkumenu nasiach b'chokecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסור ממנו לעולמים. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We Praise you, God, you love your people Israel. Page 94, the Declaration of Faith, the Shema, it's our custom to stand. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kavod Shem Kavod Malchuto La'olam La'olam Va'ed V'havta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha V'chol V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam V'shiftecha b'veitecha V'lechtecha v'aderech V'shochbecha uv'kumecha V'kshatam lo'ot al yadecha V'hayu lo totafot bein einecha V'chtavtam al muzuzot beitech Uv'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני Elohechem. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule, and full of joy we sang together. Mi chamocha balim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh norah. Tehilot Osef Ele Adonai Yemloch ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב ולא מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Let us read together. Grant, eternal God, Baruch Ata Adonai Haporei Sukat Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. The Amidah, the standing prayer. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכה חסדות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל.
מכלכל חיים, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. You are holy, awesome is your name. We have no God but you. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Let us be seated. And in the middle of page 99. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beni uven b'nei Yisrael oti la'olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash, Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash, Shabbat, Shabbat, vayinafash. And over the page, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. And Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha, b'yirah na'avod. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. Let us read in English towards the bottom of page 100. We give thanks that you, eternal one, are our God, as you were the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'el hadot. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. We read together in Hebrew, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim La'olam, Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom, V'tov be'enecha, Levarech et Amcha Yisrael, V'et kol ha'amim, V'chol eite v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Osei hashalom. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. Some moments of silent prayer. Tsuri v'goali, Adonai Tsuri v'goali. And we're now going to read the special theme, and I'll explain why in a little while. It is Jewish identity on page 188.
Is there a blessing, Rob?
No blessing,
No blessing.
just go straight in.
Go straight into it.
You've got enough blessings
So
being.
page 188. Who is a Jew? What makes a Jew a Jew? A Jew is a member of a people with an extraordinary history, both of suffering and of achievement. A Jew is a product of that history and derives from it a sense of kinship with other Jews. Even when two Jews meet for the first time, a vague consciousness of having met before is stirred in each. Memory cannot, with any definiteness, specify or describe the time, place, or nature of the earlier association. But there has been such an association seems assured. It may have been at Sinai, where, according to tradition, all the unborn souls of Israel were assembled. Not only with you do I make this sworn covenant, but with those who are standing here with us today, before the eternal one our God, and also those who are not with us today. All through the ages we have held fast to our sense of covenant, of feeling bound to God in a special relationship that has given meaning to our existence. Because of it, and for its sake, we have suffered. In its name and by its power, we have made our distinctive contribution to civilization. And when Jews think or speak in other terms, they yet show concern with ultimate value, caring for truth and justice, freedom and peace. They are impatient with the world as it is and feel an urge to make it better. Even when we reject it, a religion is embedded in our consciousness. Like Jacob, we wrestle with our Creator. Like Jonah, even if we try, we cannot escape the gravitational pull of a sacred obligation undertaken long ago. Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have striven with God, with humans, and have prevailed. I am Hebrew, and I worship the eternal God of heaven, who made both sea and land. We are a people that dwells apart, and is not reckoned among the nations. Stiff-necked people, foolish and unwise. But the people I formed for myself, that they might declare my praise. People who evening and morning, twice every day with love, proclaim God's news. We see God's guiding hand most clearly when we look back on the history of our people. Delivered from Egyptian bondage, bound to God by the covenant at Sinai, inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, we survived oppression and exile, overcoming time and again the forces that would have destroyed us. We were set with the weakness and faults common to all humanity, yet it has been our glory to testify to the unity of God, to hold up before the world an example of courage, and to keep alive in dark ages a vision of humaneness and harmony. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel demands of me no abdication of the mind. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel requires all the devotion of my heart. I am a Jew because in every place where suffering weeps, the Jew weeps.
I am a Jew because every time when despair cries out, the Jew huddles.
I am a Jew because the word of Israel is the oldest and the nearest.
I am a Jew because the promise of Israel is the universal promise.
I am a Jew because for Israel the world is not yet completed, human beings are completing it.
I am a Jew because for Israel humanity is not created,
Human beings are creating it. I am a Jew because above the nations and Israel places humanity and its unity.
I am a Jew because above humanity, in each divine unity, Israel places divine unity and its identity.
To open eyes when others close them, to hear when others do not wish to listen, to look when others turn away, to seek to understand when others give up, to rouse oneself when others accept, to continue the struggle even when one is not the strongest, to cry out when others keep silent. To be a Jew is that. It is, first of all, that, and further, to live when others are dead, and to remember when others have forgotten. Let us not ask ourselves only, who is a Jew? Let us ask ourselves, who is a good Jew? A good Jew is one in whose life being Jewish is a constant influence for good. God of our ancestors, teach us to be worthy in the name of a Jew. May we direct our transgressions. May all that we do be down to the end of our faith and to your glory. Give us an understanding heart, so that we may feel how great is our responsibility as members of the Jewish people. Grant guidance and strength to the whole house of Israel, so that inspired by our common faith and united by our common task, we may serve our fellow men and women in your name, and be a source of blessing to humanity.
Ashrenu, Ashrenu, Matov, 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 Chelkenu, Ashrenu, Ashrenu, Matov, 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 Chelkenu, Umanayim, 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 Goraleinu, Umanayim, 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 Goraleinu, Umayava, 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 Yerushatenu, Ashreinu.
I guess that, like, I'm not alone in sometimes in wondering what I've done with a period of time. And this morning was no exception. I sat at my computer from 9 o'clock till 1, doing Southgate work, and then afterwards I thought, what have I actually done? Well, it's not wholly untrue, because I did make 2 pastoral phone calls. I organised a visit for next week, but that's not 4 hours work. And I don't know what else I did. I mean, I'm sure I could work it out. You think to yourself, so I thought in the afternoon I'm determined to feel like I've achieved something. I was supposed to go for a walk, and if I don't take a walk, that means I've really got something to achieve. And so I did 2 things. First of all, I prepared my class ahead of time for Monday evening.
Oh, that's interesting.
On the Hasmonean monarchy. Fascinating stuff, which we'll do on Monday evening. And then LJ asked me to write the article for next week's Torah portion, Vayigash. And so you're going to get really, I haven't quite finished the article, but you're going to get really the article because, interestingly enough, it ties in with this week's theme, even though it's not until next week. So I began the article by saying that sometimes I'm asked, are you a rabbi or a politician? Because people know that I am the mayor and I'm a local councillor. They ask me, so some of them know I'm a rabbi too. And the simple answer is I always say actually both. And then if I had time, but usually people don't want to listen to much more than that, I would clarify what I said and said actually, the joy of my life, I suppose, other than my children and grandchildren, the joy of my family, the joy of my life is in fact the paid vocation I have of being a rabbi. And I've done that now for well in excess of 30 years. Yeah, well in excess of 30 years. I'm not quite into 40 years, but nevertheless well into 30. And I however added that most of the what I call unremunerated public service, which includes for me sitting in the courts, visiting prisons, hospices, hospitals, most of which is unremunerated, is also part of my Jewish being. And then I said, as it happens, the portion I've got to write about, Vayigash, which is next week's portion, introduces us to Joseph. Begins with Jacob having now settled, and this young boy, Joseph. And I do think that the Joseph narrative, if I call narratives, is a remarkable one, probably one of the best that you would find, certainly in Torah, if not outside of it. But to remind you, Joseph is a dreamer, comes from a large family of boys, primarily boys. He dreams, and dare I say, he rather arrogantly interprets those dreams in a particular way, which gets up the noses of his brothers. And when he's given a special tunic of some description, not necessarily a coat of many colours, we don't really know what it was. The term is only used once in the Hebrew Bible. But let's assume it can be called a coat of many colours, or some tunic, something that marked him out. That riles his brothers even more, because they think it's yet another example of his favouritism, Jacob's favouritism to him. And so you know the story well, and I don't intend to repeat it, but just to remind you of its headlines. He has a dramatic falling out with his brothers, who abandon him in a pit or in some desert, and he arrives in Egypt either by capture or by purchase. There are two versions of how he got there, but it doesn't really matter. He gets there and he joins Potiphar's house as a servant, and then there's an altercation with Mrs. Potiphar, and he ends up in jail in an Egyptian dungeon, where as we finish our portion for next week, because I'm not here tomorrow, so I won't be here to go to Reading tomorrow, but you'll have fantastic Dr. Stacey Hackner will be here tomorrow, our archaeologist and student rabbi taking the service. But he ends up, in the end of our portion, interpreting the dreams of Pharaoh's cupbearer and Pharaoh's baker. That's where next week's portion ends. And then the whole of the rest of Genesis, which is another 4 weeks, another 4 parashiot, are all about Joseph. And really about Joseph's rise to power. He is an Israelite, but within the Egyptian court, the court of Pharaoh, the god king of Egypt, he becomes at the very least a minister of agriculture. By the way, if you're interested in agrarian legislation, I think it's chapter 42, verses 11 to 27. Just look at his nationalisation process for agriculture. It's fascinating to think about in the modern sense. But anyway, and if he's so he's very least the Minister of Agriculture, and some stories think that he is, in fact, the Prime Minister, the right-hand person of Pharaoh, the de facto ruler of the land. And Joseph, of course, is on the one hand, he's successful in Egyptian society, but in his mind, it appears, is his Israelite family and culture. And so I go on to say that actually, if you think Vayigash will be next week, so it's published on next Thursday, for next Shabbat, and then Sunday evening is Hanukkah, the beginning of Hanukkah. And I write that Hanukkah is about, lighting Hanukkah, giving tzedakah, giving alms, charity, playing dreidel, eating donuts and latkes, all of those things. But unlike Joseph, Joseph may be a figment of somebody's imagination. We have no historical evidence for Joseph. He may be a legend. A pretty impressive one, but nevertheless a legend. So if Joseph is a legend, when we come to the Hanukkah story, we're in definite history. We know about the conquest of the Near East by Alexander the Great, the division of his empires. When he dies, the Seleucids in the north and Ptolemies in the south. So Israel is stuck in the middle, and eventually the Seleucids come down and basically prevent Judaism. and Mattathias, an elderly priest, and his family begin a guerrilla war, which eventually Israel wins, or the Israelites, the Jews win, and they conquer Jerusalem, cleanse the temple, re-establish the temple as a Jewish house of worship, and establish a monarchy, which you have to come to the class on Monday if you want to know more about that. But underneath this sweet story of Hanukkah is a Kulturkampf, is a cultural struggle between Hellenism, the Greek culture, and Judaism. And whilst under the Seleucids, it's true to say, they tried to forcibly stop Jews being Jewish, in the slightly earlier period, the Jews were very attracted to Greek culture. They didn't need to be forced to it, they went right into it. They changed their names to Greek names. They tried to undo their circumcision in a way which I won't describe this evening, because of course Greeks like running around with no clothes on, and therefore you could easily make decisions of who was who, yes. And but in many other ways, let us be clear, Hellenism added to the Jewish picture. Judaism didn't really have a concept of the soul being apart from the body until Greeks suggested it. Thus, it didn't really have a concept of democracy until the Greeks suggested it. But the clash about the story of Hanukkah is really not about we won the war and then we ate the fried food, or the temple was grubby and had a model of Zeus in it and we undid it, or the miracle of the oil, which is a miracle because it doesn't even appear in the historical books of Maccabees, but only in the Talmud, lasting for one day, lacerated. The real essence of Hanukkah, what underpins Hanukkah, is the struggle between how one maintains one's faith and one's way of life, one's culture, one's historic roots, if I can use that term, particularly in societies which are either different from, indifferent to, or hostile against Judaism. And of course it wasn't a problem in the biblical period, interestingly enough, except for Joseph, because all the Jews who did, or whatever they were called at that time, Hebrews, Israelites, lived in their ancient ancestral homeland. The challenge really comes when you leave your familiar homeland where everybody's Jewish, or everybody's Israelite, or everybody's part of your family, or things are run in the way that you're used to having them run. And when, either by choice, in some cases, or by force, in other cases, Jews find themselves in other places, in lands near and far from the ancestral homeland. And to me, that is the eternal question for the Jewish people. Or at least it has been since the Roman period until today. Which is, how is it, or is it possible, to maintain a serious Jewish existence in a country, land, place that's primarily not Jewish? Now, there are people who say no, so we make now, since the State of Israel in 1948, they can make Aliyah. That feels to them Jewish. That's how they maintain their Jewish backdrop. There are others who treat them as ghettos in separate countries, in the countries in which they live. That's what Stamford Hill's about. What the ultra-Orthodox movement is about. We don't really like things that are out there, so we turn in on ourselves. And the way to maintain ourselves and our culture is to just do it in that way, in a form of ghetto being the Italian word, of course, originally for a furnace, but was eventually the place where the Jews of Venice was the first ghetto. And ghettos, by the way, rather like leaving your country, some Jews wanted to go to ghettos because they felt safer and better there, and other Jews were forced into ghettos. But ghetto isn't in itself a negative word, and that many ghettos were formed by Jews wanting to be together. But that's not what I want to talk about. But the question is there a third way? Is it possible, or possible or desirable? And I would go even further and say it's what's the word I'm looking for? Not only desirable. Oh well, I'll come back to it in a minute. So, is it possible or desirable that Jews should live in a non-Jewish place and maintain their Judaism? Well, first of all, it has to be possible because Jews have done it for most of their history. When most Jews left the ancient homeland, not long after Hanukkah period, under Roman rule, for 2,000 years we didn't really have a presence. I mean, there was a presence, but it was very small. And the overwhelming majority of Jews lived outside of their ancestral homeland and lived outside of a Jewish place. They lived in Babylon, or Europe, or later on the United States. So it's certainly possible. The bigger question is it desirable? Or even more, I would say even more importantly, is it incumbent upon us? You see, there are some Jews who participate in the non-Jewish world because they see it as a defense mechanism. They somehow say, if we meet our non-Jewish neighbours and take part as we should in a responsible society, they might like us, they might respect us, they might understand us. I've never been involved in the non-Jewish world as a defense mechanism. I do it because I believe that Judaism and Jewish values may have something to offer to the rest of the world. I do it because I believe that's the mission of what it is to be a Jew. To be a Jew is not to be only Jewish. Now, I'm very proud to be Jewish. Everybody, and whenever I talk to groups or new citizens, I tell them I'm a person of faith. I don't want to impose my faith upon them, but they need to know that as the mayor, as the local councillor, I am a person of faith, I'm a person of the Jewish faith. I want them to know that. I want them to know when I go into churches and mosques. I wear my kippah more in churches and mosques than I do in shuls, for a deliberate reason. You know that I'm your rabbi and I'm Jewish, right? Or you assume that I am. When I go into a mosque or synagogue, I want them to know that I'm Jewish. And I'm going to a carol concert in 2 days' time, or next week as the mayor. They asked me whether I would read a bit from Matthew, from the Gospel of Matthew. So I said, only by message to the vicar, who very sweetly asked me to read, do you have a bit from the Hebrew Scriptures? And back he came with Isaiah 40. And I thought, I hope he's not going to give me something that is very strongly interpreting the Christian tradition in a particular way, but actually give me a rather nice piece. Isaiah chapter 40. So you basically got my article, because I'm going to have to conclude it with something about, I've done the Torah portion for the week, I've done the history of what I want to talk about, and I've got to conclude it. And I think I will conclude it by saying that the reason why I function in the non-Jewish world as a Jew, because I believe it's incumbent upon me as a Jew, but not in an offensive way, and not an offensive way either, but simply because I don't understand the value of Judaism if it's simply self-perpetuating. If it doesn't have a contribution to make to the society in which Jews find themselves and the world in which Judaism operates. Here endeth the lesson.
So now you haven't got to read the article because you've heard it already, live. We conclude on page 520 with the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabayach la'adon ha'kol la'ted g'dula li'otzeh bereshit asher samcha l'keinu li'eched et shemo v'gor aleinu lahamnich malchuto v'anachnu koreim u'mishtachavim u'modim לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויושד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אמת מלכנו ככתוב וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Foot to the page opposite. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. So we come now to recite the Kaddish on page 524. And before that, we think of all those who once shared with us the joys and burdens of life and are no longer in our midst. And on this Shabbat, on the occasion of their yahrzeit, we think especially of the following: of Joan and David Leslie, parents of Stephen, and of Ivor Hockman, father of David Hockman and Adrienne Matthews, of Annie Phillips, mother-in-law of Pearl Phillips, of Morris Goldberg, father, and Colin Goldberg, brother of Michelle Raab, of Edith Allen, aunt of Barbara Martin, of Shlomo Ehrlich, father of Zahava, of Alfred Pachter, father of Nicholas, of Jackie Summers, wife of Eddie, of Joseph Shepherd, father of Lily Anker, of Joseph Young, mother of Grant, of Lenny Levy, father of Jack Levy and Estelle Piazza, and Sidney Cold, father of Sandra Robson. Of course, Stephen is with us on duty at the back there. David and Adrienne are also with us. Barbara is with us. So I trust that being with your community reminds you of the great memories that you have, parents and aunts, and reminds us of the value of human life. As we turn from sorrow to praise, recited together on page 524. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah ba'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei rechol beit Yisrael v'agalav izman kariv v'meru Yehei shemei Rabbah mavarach la'olam al'almei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei V'yithada v'yitalev talal shemei d'kodesha barechu Le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'alma v'ymaru Yehei shalom rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'ymaru Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'asei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei adam V'moru, amen. May great peace descend from heaven and abundant life be granted to us, to all Israel, and to the peoples of the world. And let us say, amen.
So please be seated for just a moment. I tell you tomorrow that taking our service will be student Rabbi Stacey Hackner, who was a lecturer in archaeology before joining the college this year. And I'm sorry that Michael Stanfield is not well enough to give the lunch tomorrow. That's only just come through, so I did think about asking Stacey to do it at the last minute, but I thought better not to. So there may be a few people who are disappointed when they come in the morning. I'm off. I've actually got a weekend off next weekend. And I've got my 4 children coming, which is rather nice, before one of them goes off to Dubai. So Rabbi Danny Newman will take the service on Friday and on Shabbat morning. First night of Hanukkah is Sunday. But I'm pleased to report we've got 3 Hanukkah activities on. The first is on Monday, the 15th of December, 7:30 in the evening. In here, Dr. Stacey Hackner, who, as I told you, is a lecturer in archaeology, will be talking about Hasmonean archaeology. And she's in touch with people who are doing the archaeology in Israel now, and has got something new to reveal to us. So that'll be very exciting. The 19th is our Hanukkah Chavurah at 6 p.m. Please bring your Chanukiot full of candles, which will then light. It is the custom in this shul to light all 8, never mind what night of Hanukkah it is, a custom which I have no problem. It's a good job I'm not a halakhically minded rabbi. And then on the Shabbat morning, which is the 20th, at 11-ish, we will have our Shabbat morning service and a Hanukkah party and lunch. There's 3 opportunities this year. Before I finish, we'll get to something every night of Hanukkah. But this year we've got 3 activities, which is not bad going. So join us for 1, 2 or 3 of those. We're seeking a donation for the lecture, but there's no charge. Cover our supper, you bring a contribution to the table. Are we charging for the Hanukkah lunch? I can't remember. No?
Yes.
Yes?
I think it's yes.
Well, it'll be modest, whatever it is. We're trying, bear in mind we don't have a tenant at the moment, because we've lost our big tenant. We don't want to keep anybody away from anything on financial grounds, but we're trying where we can to recoup small sums. Mark is forever finding things to sell on eBay, and all these small sums will make up big sums. So,
Yes, there is, Danny. Definitely.
there is a charge. It must be modest.
Right.
And then we are deliberating whether we will have a service on Boxing Day, which is a Friday evening. So if you think you're going to come to it, if we put it on, A, let Barbara know whether you will, and B, what time you'd like it. Because we can have it at 6 or 7 or 8. But if we do have a service, Barbara and I will be here. But we will have one on Saturday the 28th. Oh, whatever the Saturday is. Yes, you're right, it is 27th, thank you. And I've already told you about the new Friday evening services, so I hope you'll come along and get a feel of them. I am looking for a volunteer who will make dessert for about 12 to be the first one. Otherwise it might have to be me. Is it you, Barbara? You volunteering?
No, I'm just going to say that Michael's lunch is next week, not tomorrow. What?
Oh, well, whenever it is, he can't do it, I don't think. Oh, thank you. So I got myself confused. I just got this message, and my phone wasn't working at the time, as I tried to port my number from one provider to another. I was told by, not me, Laura was told by British Telecom for 2 hours, and EE, that since we hadn't ported it in time, they couldn't give us our old number back. Finally, we got it back. So anyway.
I think actually we're going to do a Don Olam today. I'm just going to try a tune and you can either like it or not like it. Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem kol Yesin Nivra לעת נעשה וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי כפלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. והוא אחד ואין שני, לעם שלו להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה. והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וסוחב לי בעת צרה, והוא נשא ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא. בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת אשם ואערה, ואם רוחי גבייתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא. שבת שלום.